Hello and welcome to the show. Now, there have been a host of really rather interesting cars throughout the Forza 6 DLCs, but one car in particular stands out, and that is this Holden Commodore, as I believe this is quite possibly the ultimate racing machine on this game. So to prove it, I got a lobby of these cars together to go for a little bit of racing, and all of the cars were kept completely stock. Now this means they are D-class vehicles. The thing that makes these such good cars to go racing with is they are so easy to drive. These are one of the easiest cars you will ever drive. They are incredibly easy to go quickly with them. They are lovely, lovely balance to them. A little bit understeery for some people's tastes, but even if you absolutely loathe understeer, these cars are so easy to drive quickly that you often get fantastic racing, which is what we were hoping for here, and certainly on this opening lap. Everyone was going too wide already. Immediately through these first corners, everyone was going too wide. Now, having everybody driving identical cars will often give you a pretty damn close racing, and overtaking can be quite difficult, of course, because you have no advantages around any parts of the track. You've just got to, brake that little bit later, be that little bit braver if you're going to get an overtake done. The green Holden here tries his luck around the outside. If you can make it stick around there, you would be on the inside for the next corner. He can't quite make it work, but a white Holden is now trying to go around the outside. The blue car ahead of me just ran a little bit wide. He may have got a tiny bit of oversteer, and that left a nice gap on the inside. You got to take your opportunities when you can with these kind of cars. So sure enough, I would stick my nose up the inside and get the position, and then the trainer cars behind me were also going to try coming through this first corner. A little bit of touring car lines, as everybody wasn't quite sure where to brake with these vehicles, and a few cars escaping off of the track. And it wasn't just at the front, further back as well. Everybody was squabbling over. It didn't matter if you were in the top 10, outside the top 10, whatever position, you probably had three cars around you, and you were all squabbling for it. There's this fantastic train of cars snaking its way around the track. The blue Holden here on the inside tried to have a go at the vehicle ahead. He couldn't quite make it stick, and in doing so, though, he's now slowed himself down. The vehicles behind are swarming past. The poor white car here got stuck on the outside around that final corner, and when you're stuck out there's nothing you can do. A Holden just snuck up the inside, took the position away. When you're in groups this size, certainly when you're not at the front of this group, when you've got vehicles ahead and behind you, it's very, very difficult, because you want to attack the car that's ahead. You want to try and get that position, but if you overexert yourself, if you run a little bit too wide, there's somebody right behind ready to pounce, ready to try and take that position away from you. So yeah, you've got to time your maneuvers in a group like this. And sure enough, the blue Holden just outbraked himself a little bit. That allows two cars to get up the inside, and when you have got such a train going on, small mistakes can really cost you rather a lot. The white Holden here didn't quite get the drive I was expecting down this back straight. In fact, the blue and red car did, despite going very wide, got a fantastic run down this straight, forcing the other blue car to try the outside. He backed out of it. The white car just about found a space. A little bit of a brush between the pair of them as they were all trying to cut back to the inside of one another. It's almost three wide out of the final corner as the white car is again trying to get his nose alongside. The group up ahead is 4 or 5 cars all fighting for position. Amazingly, these guys have actually managed to put a little bit of a gap back to the vehicles behind, which is quite surprising considering they're, well, millimetres away from one another as they come up towards turn 1, almost making it 3 wide through that corner. The white car still trying to look, again, just a little bit of a bump between these two vehicles, and still we sit here 3 wide. It's 2 wide up ahead through Maggers and Beckett. In the end, everybody makes it through safely and sensibly. The white car has a dive up the inside. He'd get the position from the other blue vehicle. Behind there's 3 cars fighting for position. Wherever I pointed the camera in this first race, something was going on. It was incredible. At the front, I was sat in second place, trying to find a way past the leader. But if you defended with these vehicles, it was very difficult to get past, This is not the easiest track in the world to overtake on in identical cars. You've really got to have yeah, you've really got to have a solid opportunity, and I managed to find one for myself. I got myself out the inside through the maggots section, and yeah, the yellow car in the end didn't really have too much of a choice. You've got to be very almost assertive when you're going for an overtake in these identical cars. They're not the fastest cars in the world. Being in D class, you know, you've got to really make sure that you can get yourself well up alongside to get a pass completed. Further back, this midfield group were still fighting over every single position. They were still going 2 and 3 wide through most of the corners. The number 8 car here going up the middle as there's a brave place to put your car. If you can keep it, again, as I said, if you can keep it around the outside, you get to the inside line through this next corner, which is where you want to be. And yeah, despite firing his car through the middle of that group, the number 8 gets the move. He almost gets it perfectly, but gets a little too much wheel spin on the exit. That just slows him down and actually slows the whole train down behind him through that corner. So they were going to kind of all steam train this blue car that was stuck on the outside, but that little bit of a slide kind of caused a concertina effect further back. In the end, he does get ahead as they run through the first corner, and the group behind are all side by side as well. But yeah, it was so easy to make up, so easy to lose places as well, though. If things went a little bit wrong for you, I was in a rather close battle for the lead as we came towards the closing stages of this race. The white Holden, having got to second, was trying his best to find a way past, but just couldn't quite make a manoeuvre stick anywhere. If you don't make a mistake and you defend relatively well with these cars, it is pretty tough to find a way past. Turn 1 here is a very, very quick corner. I was going to have to force him to go the long way around the outside at turn 1 here in identical cars. Is a tough manoeuvre to make work. He keeps it just about there, but even if you stay alongside, you're still going to be stuck on the outside for this next corner, so it's just such a tough place to try and get a pass done. Your best bet is probably a dive up the inside here or a dive at the end of the straight, but I was pretty good under brakes through here. I could get a good run through this corner and down the back straight, which meant that I was always just about out of range. So the white Holden couldn't quite do anything about my vehicle, and that is how the race would end. He threw everything at me but just couldn't find a way past. As we round this final corner, he tried to sneak his car up the inside, but in doing so took a slightly wonky line, made himself a little bit slow off the corner, and I would go on to take victory in race number 1. A thoroughly enjoyable race for me in this one, and for the whole field. Wherever you pointed the camera, somebody was having a really rather close battle. On to race number 2, the Hockenheim Short Circuit, a track that has produced many a good race, and I was hoping that would continue as we take these Holdens around here. Turn 1 is often a little bit interesting, as vehicles sometimes having to take a slight avoiding action on the outside. One of the bigger problems we have with these cars, actually, if you ran the curb a little too much on the inside, the car, you kind of like hit the curb and it would almost stop the car. Across it, you may have seen a couple of cars do it on that opening shot. It was very awkward. It could either kind of slow the car down or it could bounce it out wide, so yeah, you had to be a little bit wary of going near that particular curb, and then everyone, it's just so many cars were going too wide down this back straight. So many vehicles. Unfortunately, it would all end slightly disastrously for a couple of vehicles further back that will get turned a bit sideways through that corner, but yeah, so many cars trying to fit in a small piece of tarmac, and because they were so easy to drive, you had a lot of confidence to race very, very closely with one another. The black and red car here was having a look, trying to get up the inside of my vehicle through the hairpin, but couldn't quite make a manoeuvre stick. And if you try that, often you'll end up slowing yourself down a little bit, and that's allowed the yellow car here to have a dive at the second to last corner. He'd get up at the inside, and now they're going to go side by side around this final turn. There's another car now lining up to have a pass, as well as the red car just runs that tiny little bit too wide out of the final corner, dips a wheel on the sand, and that's all it's going to take to allow another car through as well. Yeah, you couldn't really afford to be making mistakes really with these vehicles, because just a whole train of cars were going to go past you if you did. And this mid-pack was really rather busy in this race. Again, it was a case of I could have pointed the replay camera at almost any sort of part of the track, and somebody was racing with somebody throughout the entire field. Everyone trying their best to make up positions, but as I said, you can get stuck in these trains and just not be able to find a way past the vehicles ahead. It was the yellow Holden here that was holding everybody up around these corners, And again, we see another small mistake from this white car. Turned a little too soon, had to have a bit of a correction, and in doing so, he's now lost touch of the group ahead and is immediately coming under pressure from the vehicle behind as they race down towards turn 1. Again, we do see a fair few cars doing the touring car line around this first corner as they were sort of still just learning the track and seeing how much they could push the vehicles. As they run down towards this second corner, the black and red car has a big dive up the inside, but he's not quite going to get it stopped in time. He's going to run wide on the exit. We get a nice cutback from the white Holden here, and yeah, he will maintain his position at the front, and it was a four-way battle for the lead this time around. Blue and red car leading the way and was starting to slow us down. He was starting to back us up into the blue Holden as we were, again, just trying to find a way past. So he's defending the inside through here. The car ahead of me can't go all-out aggression, otherwise I'll find a way past if he makes a slight mistake. The blue and red car got a little too much oversteer coming around the final couple of corners. That made him slow off the turns and loses 2 places. Just that small bit of oversteer costs him 2 places. He's dropped back down to third as I am now on the hunt trying to find a way past the vehicle ahead. Again, we all get bounced across the curbs. You don't really gain very much time by going out wide. You're much better off taking a neater line through there. Just the curb on the inside through turn 1 is so vicious. It's so easy to hit the curb, get the car up on 2 wheels and then have no control. And yeah, get sent a little bit wide, so there was a fair bit of exploring around there. But now it was very much nose to tail with the top 4, and the leader makes a little mistake. He runs a little too wide, just can't quite get it stopped, and that mistake's going to cost him 3 places. I don't think any other racing I've done with cars on Forza 6, and we had so many vehicles in such close proximity to one another, and all it takes is that little mistake. Just push the car a little too hard, end up out a little bit wide. It's not a massively disastrous mistake, that one there, but you're going to lose 3 places in doing it. And admittedly, we had pulled a huge gap over the rest of the field because they were so busy fighting amongst themselves as well, and still it's all very much nose to tail. This was the group from 5th place back. As you said, you know, us top 4 had got a decent margin over this lot because, well, they were fighting like this. So while yes, we were squabbling at the front, these guys were squabbling even harder because there were so many more of them involved in this little group as they're all trying to find a way past one another. And the cars in the middle have got a really rather tough time to make manoeuvres stick as again we're running down towards the hairpin. But with equal cars, trying to have a big dive under brakes down here is just not really going to work. The car we're following at the moment was just a little too wide on the exit of the hairpin. That's almost going to cost him a place as they go side by side up towards the second to last corner here. He kind of gets himself, he keeps himself on the inside, can just about defend from the vehicle behind. We got a car up ahead, black and red car gets a big slide out of that final corner. It's not what you want to be doing whatsoever. He's going to probably lose a position as we're neck and neck down towards turn 1. Of all of the corners, turn 1 is the least preferred place for overtakes around here. Such a tough place to get a manoeuvre done, to get a manoeuvre stopped, especially with these cars having a fair few issues with the curbs. The black and red car is thinking about having a go up the inside, tries to get his nose alongside, can't quite do it. This was further back, behind that big tussle for 5th place. Ignore the slight lagged out ghost car going on there, but yeah, as I said, wherever you looked, somebody was having a fight with somebody else. It was very rare that you were on your own around the track. These guys going side by side down the back straight. The green car gets himself. That's a really tough place to go too wide through there. Very quick, pretty much flat out in these vehicles. It's flat out if you're on your own with other cars around you, maybe not quite. Green car's up the inside, but the black and white vehicle is not giving up. It's around the outside of 2 corners. That is another stupidly tough place to keep a car alongside around the outside, and he does make he does keep his position around there. That's a really tough manoeuvre to do, but these cars were so forgiving, so easy to drive. You could do that, you know, and that was a regular occurrence with these kind of things. That overtake is not an easy one, or that defense in this case is not an easy one to pull off, but these cars were that easy to drive quickly at the front, and I was to take victory with race number 2 as well. The white car did make his way up into a second, but couldn't really do anything. I'd been running in clean air for too long, got a decent enough gap, so there was nothing he could do about it. Would run out of laps to try and find a way past me. Again, another very enjoyable race with these cars here at Hockenheim, and 5th place was still very much up for grabs as we came on to the final lap. This was pretty much these guys' entire race. Just an entire race of 5 cars fighting over this position. It's absolutely incredible. These things are so much fun to go racing as we're coming up towards the hairpin. Black and red car took a little too shallower a line through that corner. It's made him slow down towards the hairpin. The white vehicle's going to have a dive, going to get the position. And again, once that red car was slowed ever so slightly, got two more vehicles lining up, trying to find a way past. A little bit of banging of doors through the next corner. That puts him out wide. Everybody's trying to get up the inside. The blue and white cars, further back were going a little bit of contact, and again the red car's got stuck going a little too wide into that final corner. Was going to lose all of the positions on the final lap. A little bit of an unfortunate final lap for him, but again, fantastically exciting racing at Hockenheim. And our final race would go to the Sonoma NASCAR circuit. Now, Forza have been relatively kind with my grid position for the first couple of races. This one a little further back, had a fair few cars ahead of me to try and overtake as we run up the hill for the first time. There was the odd little bit of bumping through this first corner section, nothing major. Unfortunately, further back someone would get turned around. It's a nasty corner, the first bit here, with everybody wanting to take different lines. Again, at the top of the hill, so many cars in such close proximity. Someone's doing a little bit of rallycross on the exit. It's solid too wide. The leader's got a huge gap, while we're completely incredible number of cars through that section there, everyone going too wide. I think might have even been 3 wide at some point. So we run through the next corner. Again, solid 2 wide throughout the field. I'm trying to get myself alongside. It could well have been 4 wide through that part of the track as we go blasting down towards the incredibly fast S's, and still there is a train of cars trying to fit 2 wide. This is not a good place to be going 2 wide, as sure enough someone is going to end up out on the grass, asked a little too much of their car, but we make it all through there, now up towards the fastest corner on the track. I'm behind a pair of cars fighting, and as they're going too wide through there, just slows them down a little bit. I cut back to the inside. We're going to make it 3 in towards the hairpin. I get a little bit squeezed to the inside, have to run across the curb. It's 3 wide behind me. Again, it's just solid action throughout the field on this opening lap. I'm up on the outside now with 3 wide coming onto the start-finish straight. Just about get all of the cars squeezed through there, and we make it through this first corner. Then the 2 cars behind me tangle ever so slightly. There's black and red cars going around the outside, and guess what? We're 3 wide yet again at Sonoma. It's just, I don't think I've seen many races. This one here, just so much time was spent 3 wide in the opening laps at various points in the field. One of the cars had to have a lift, dropped back, lost about 4 places just by getting stuck on the outside at the wrong point as the cars filter through the next part. There's just this huge train of Holdens. A simple mistake was going to cost you so much time if you just ran that little bit too wide. Again, through the next corner, a black and white car gets hung out to dry on the outside. He does kind of get a good run off the turn, so again, we're going to try and fit 3 cars into a tiny piece of tarmac through these incredibly fast S's. Sure enough, the black car gets on the curb, and that's asking too much of the Holden. He gets very sideways, keeps it together, keeps it on the road, but would lose a whole heap of positions. Again, probably lost 5-6 positions in going sideways there, then gets dropped back into yet another battle. We've got very sideways cars. Someone was out on the grass. Don't want to be out on the grass at that part of the track. That's a very dangerous place to be getting your vehicle stuck. And again, these opening laps were absolutely crazy with vehicles fighting for position. Someone had a bit of a spin. The blue car here has got massively sideways. It was they had a little tendency, these Holdens, if you ran across the curbs, they didn't really like it. We did see a couple of cars go round in a circle from bouncing across some curbs. But yeah, aside from that, that was the only real downside. It was only very rarely did they do that. You just have to ask that little bit too much of them to really upset the vehicles. And again, we're going to be going almost solidly too wide as we come into the S's. This Sonoma NASCAR can be a really tough place to get overtakes done, because for half the lap, you know, you're going through these S's, you're going through the first few corners. They're also quick corners with such small braking zones. You know, trying to get past, especially in identical cars, is a really tough thing to do. It does help when your rivals are going very sideways. That is a huge slide from the blue Holden there, but amazingly everybody avoids him through that section. That's that's a really very, very sideways moment through that part of the track, and he was only going to lose, well, 2 positions in all that. Considering the size of the moment in that, losing 2 positions is not bad going. I had got myself to second and was now yet again challenging for the lead against a red Holden coming into the S's. We were to go side by side. I'd round him up on the outside, but in doing so, I'd slightly overdrive it through the next corner, run wide on the exit. He would get the cut back on me, and we're back again side by side towards the fastest corner on the track. I didn't really fancy being stuck on the outside. Just a little lift down the brakes slightly earlier, cut back to the inside. It's going to be his turn now to run that little bit wider on the exit, and I've got myself to the inside where you really want to be, the best overtaking spot on the track, in towards the hairpin. Can get my car stopped again. I do overdrive it ever so slightly and a little bit of wheel spin on the exit, but it's not so bad if he gets a cut back on me, because I'll be on the inside for this next corner, coming down the start-finish straight, which is where you want to be. Again, another lagged out ghost car in this one, and yeah, then I've got the position coming towards turn 1. This time, we would have a 5-car battle over second place. Rather than being a 5-car battle over fifth, this time it was over second place, with me gradually pulling away at the front as these guys had their huge battle. A little bit more spread out, this one, to Sonoma. We did see a few more vehicles have the odd trouble around this track. Not quite as chaotic as Hockenheim, but still, you know, anywhere where you have a 5-car battle for position, you know things are going well. This number 8 was having a look, couldn't quite get up the inside. We've got Blue Holden right in behind, and again you're stuck with this situation where you want to try and overtake the car ahead, you want to try and find a way past the vehicle ahead, but if you go too aggressive, if you try and have a big dive somewhere and you get it a little bit wrong, you're going to lose 1-2 positions in all of this. And you see here, the white car that was in third just overdrove trying to get it alongside, and that's going to cost him a position. There's a simple place you very rarely actually lose positions just by trying to find a way past. It's cost him 1 place. He's now going to come under threat from the Blue Holden, although not that they're quite close enough. The red car has run a little wide, just missed the apex slightly through this final hairpin. There's a little bit of contact, cars going sideways, and now we're back to going solid 2 wide, almost out of the hairpin. The number 8 is on the outside. Somehow, I'm not sure, the other white car got a really good drive out of the hairpin to get himself back alongside. A little bounce off the wall. It's surprisingly easy to clip that wall if you take too tighter a line. They all do survive it though. Often crashes or bumps at that wall can lead to some huge crashes. They do get away with it though, and the positions are back to how they were the previous lap as they run up the hill. And you can see that the car behind the black and red Holden is catching this group as they... When you start fighting like this, you know, you're going to get caught really quickly. And I was loving this because I could pull away at the front and have had none of the issues running in completely clean air. May have been again a little bit of bumping. Now we've got a car up alongside. It's taken, a lap for the black and red car at the back of this group to join fully into this fight. It's now got a 6-car battle over second place. We're going to go 3 wide coming up towards the S's. Everybody thinks slightly better of it, even with a bit of rallycross going on there from a very sideways Holden. He gets the move done though. Another white Holden's made a move on the blue car further back, and now we're going side by side some more through the S's. The blue car lost out big time. He's now dropped back to the back of that little group. As I said, this was great news for me. I got myself to the lead, and as they had a humongous battle, I'm running in clean air. With a car I love, at a track I love, and would get, as you can see, a fairly sizable margin back to that group. So it would be a bit of domination, really, from me in this one. I do love these Holdens, phenomenal cars, suit my driving style perfectly, as I would take 3 wins out of 3 with them. And this group here, you caught a little bit of it in the background of shots. These guys were, still fighting very much as we come on to, or as we're on the final lap, coming up towards this last corner. Just a solid train of Holdens. It was who was going to be latest on the brakes. 4th place is very much up for contention. 2nd and 3rd are a little bit clear. The car on the inside just, I think, brushes the tyre bundle ever so slightly. That slows his run off the turn. Black and red cars trying to get up into the mix. He can't quite. There's just not space for him. At the end, it would be the red vehicle that would take that 4th spot. It was an incredible final few laps for that 2nd place battle, and these cars are just incredible. unbelievable. They're so easy to drive quickly that you can have these huge 5-6 car battles going on, and they'd go on for the entire race between everyone. It was an awful lot of fun to go racing with these. I highly recommend the DLC just for this car, because it is an absolutely exquisite vehicle to go racing with. Such an incredibly easy car to drive very, very quickly around a track and have lots of very, very close racing, because it's just so incredibly forgiving. An absolutely exquisite car, and has produced some of the best racing I've been a part of in Forza, and definitely some of the best racing I have seen. Anyway, though, that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.